Welcome back, folks, to Aligning with Success. My name is Mike DiMuccio, and as you can see by my t-shirt, I love weekend. By the way, these t-shirts are something you can pick up at lifeinbalancetools.com. That's where we get our tools. And I've got a nice order coming to me of all the new stuff, so I can't wait till it arrives, I think, tomorrow. It is the 14th of May. We did have a call, so I want to thank Madeline for last week's call, for picking up the slack on my behalf. And I'm sure you guys had a great opportunity to interact. I haven't had a chance to review that video as I've been banging away at the event website, which should be launched by the end of this week. So excited to be able to share that with you. And definitely excited to be able to share with you this event. Now, I was just refreshing my memory about what we covered. Mute there, Lori, okay. What we covered on our call 2 weeks ago, it was a thorough explanation of the rhythm of the business, which I think is sort of a staple in this business. Everyone that I've had anything to do with that have had major success in this industry and in Nikken in particular swears by it, that the rhythm of the business is something that has fueled their business and propelled their business. If you were on any of the calls with the Hispanic teams, you would have heard their testimony also indicative of that. They would often mention the rhythm of the business. So it is an idea that was very much appreciated and adhered to by the leadership of Latin America, and they teach it in their curriculum when you go for some of the advanced workshops that they put on by the corporation and the diamonds and so forth. So I just felt it was an important thing to remind us of what it takes to build an organization, because there's the element of bringing people into something, but then what is that something you're bringing them into? What feeds and fuels their advanced learning, their cultural experience of Nikken, and the idea of growing a team of leaders. I think leadership is something that people aspire to, but they don't necessarily have guidelines for, especially if they're new to being an entrepreneur. So to have a curriculum, much like a university curriculum, that moves you through an understanding, but is a functional curriculum, meaning each event has a purpose. Each event inspires the next generation of leaders to emerge at that particular level or that particular rank. And so in succession, what we're doing is we're creating an experience of movement through the ranks by creating these environmental experiences on a rhythmic basis. So a simple example is the daily activity of contacting and inviting. You then create an experience for somebody to learn about Nikken, hopefully firsthand. I was on a call today with Dave Johnson, and we both were comparing notes of some of the people that we've been talking with and interviewing. And it turns out that social media is a great adjunct to network marketing, particularly from the branding recognition, from retail sales, creating touch points for consumers to become aware of you, especially if you're using social media beyond your friends. If you're actually learning how to apply social media by Facebook ads, if you're paying for advertisement through Facebook, where you're able to reach further audiences. But then it becomes important to learn how to target your message and your audience. So that's an adjunct. Nothing replaces the core. And what is the core? It's that one-on-one. It's that personal interaction. And while I know that it may seem slow, it is the most effective. And I'm talking about comparing my notes with industry leaders. So we're all in agreement that while some things have progressed and while the internet has facilitated a lot of things, it hasn't replaced the most important thing, which is relationships. In fact, it's actually putting an emphasis on it, because now, since there is such an influx of information overload through social media, most people won't watch a video. Most people won't take the time to do the research and so forth. So the only thing you can get them to actually stop and smell the roses is to sit down and have a coffee with them. It's still the most impactful way to actually get someone's attention. So, and we have one of the most important advantages when it comes to comparable opportunities out there in terms of a personal encounter. We can do a demo, and it's not something you can do with pretty much anything. It's something we can do. And so that creates a very strategic advantage for us. So what do we need to do to be more successful? We need to get out there. We can't hide behind our laptops, can't hide behind our social media pages. We actually got to get out there live and personal with people. Now, I know I missed a bunch of stuff from last week's call, and as I said, I didn't get a chance to review it. And we did talk a lot about the rhythm of the business and its application. We've got a number of events that we're building towards. We've got one coming up next weekend, or is it this weekend? This weekend, sorry, on the 19th. It's the Power ABC, or the Power A-Team. That event is the monthly event, the lock-in event. The target audience for that event is who? Anybody?
The people that we've been taking through the process that need to have that ABC, the Power A. So
okay. Where are they in the process?
They should be in the process of understanding that it's a business presentation.
Okay.
Or they could be new and be.
Well, they can be.
Yeah.
Remember,
be turned on.
Everybody can be at a meeting, but who's the target audience? Who's the C? Yes, Maggie.
The consultants who haven't yet decided to be a business partner.
Bingo. The consultants who've not yet made a decision to be a business partner, which means they may be in the business, but they actually haven't made a business decision. So they haven't set a goal. They haven't created a why that's tangible, practical, something that really drives them. They haven't made a list. They haven't invested in their business properly. Maybe they bought some products, but that's not a business investment necessarily. That was acting like a consumer. They need to put their business hat on. And the time commitment to actually go ahead and do a proper 90-day launch. That's going to take some time, not only on their part, on the part of their sponsor. So there has to be some dialogue between the sponsor and their upline with respect to how we're going to work together to get this thing off the ground. What's the event schedule that we're going to put together so that we can support a flow of people into the process? That's what a launch is. So that meeting this weekend will feature Michelle Kowalchuk is going to be the guest host of that event, and she's going to be asking the presenters a few questions. One, of course, is their personal testimony, their story, their business story. And the other will be a question that is suited specifically to the task of talking to the C, and that is, if you had to do your first 90 days over again, what would you do differently? And so that's going to be a great question for them to answer, because they're going to probably say the things that we would all have done differently if we had our first 90 days to do over again, which is exactly what that person who's about to make that decision to go for 90 days needs to hear. What would they do that they could do better and they could save some time? Okay, so that's this weekend. I don't know how many of you have yet planned for Orlando. That's, of course, a leadership. The focus of the leadership is to build your strength of leadership, your qualities of being a leader. But of course, even though there's a target audience where that's concerned, anybody who's going to go there is going to benefit. Last night I was on an ABC, well, actually it wasn't an ABC call, it was an AC call. The B was in Mexico, but I spoke to a fellow who's Hispanic background, but living in the States for quite a while. And he's a marketing guy. And so by the end of it, I compelled him to make a point of being in Orlando, which he's flying. He lives between Orlando and Chicago, to be in Orlando for the Orlando event, because that would give him more than ample opportunity to experience NECANN firsthand. But I said, if you're going to commit to go, which sounds like you're going to, we have a lot of time between now and then for you to have a team with you. I said, there's one thing to attend an event on your own and learn something. It's a completely different experience to bring a team with you, and now you're building a business that will really have a rocket ship behind it. So I'm still using the Orlando event as a recruiting event, but on a higher level of commitment, because that means the person is going to take it more seriously. They know that they're playing in the big leagues when you're asking them to jump on a plane to come and kick the tires around of a car, an opportunity. So don't be shy about that. Use every opportunity as an opportunity to attract the next big player, which is, by the way, what I wanted to be focused on this call today. But before I get to that, do we have any questions about the last couple calls that you'd like me to address?
I'd like to make a comment. The reason for the topic last week was because the PA call earlier in the day, and not everybody on this call tonight is on that Platinum Alliance call. And then that happened again today on the Platinum Alliance call. Suzanne and I are the only two here that were on it, as far as back to the retail sales model and not understanding this. And the people that really don't understand everything you just said now as a summary of what's been being said is because they haven't been on this. And it's still that confusion about teach three to reach three what. So there really is still confusion, Mike. So, I don't know who's all coming to Orlando, as far as there's quite a few people on that Platinum Alliance call, and it was recorded today and sent out. But the question was raised when Gary, and Heather isn't on here. She sent that she wasn't going to be able to see it and be on tonight, but that she would listen. But Gary had an aha when he heard you in San Mateo say that if you can make 500, from that card, that you could make 40,000. That got his attention. And so now today he came out with another PowerPoint with how to do it with selling waterfalls.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. At least there's one aspect to the business that's being addressed.
Exactly where the clarification was, that it is the one aspect to the business, and that it'd be nice to have a whole lot of those people doing that. And it is a good way to get somebody off to starting the retailing model because of the higher amount of retail profit and so forth. But it was an aha for me when you went over it a couple of weeks ago and I pulled your book out. And so getting out and seeing more people, like you started out this meeting, and really having those conversations and getting more people in the pipeline, and then the clarity about the pre-qualifying and who's where in that Z track. I think it's still a misunderstanding with a lot of people. That's just my feeling. So I don't know what all you're doing with the leadership breakout.
Well, I'm doing what I'm doing with this call. They can choose to listen or not. But let me add to this point, because it's a very important point that you're bringing up, Madeline, and the clarification that people need to have about how do you make the big bucks. The brilliance of duplication, the brilliance of something that's repeatable, doable at a small scale, when compounded through the scalability of the business, is what makes this possible, the big incomes. So it's learning to do a thing, like flip a hamburger, well enough that people want to buy that hamburger. Now I have a formula for building a franchise across the globe. You see what I'm saying? It's the simplicity of the idea that can be duplicated and then scaled. It's the scaling of the idea that creates the leverage, the compounding, and the big bucks. But there has to be a bite-sized idea that can be duplicated. When we look at the circle of influence, that card that shows 5 wellness homes and 3 partners, the distinction there is that there's customers who own a Nikken wellness home, which means what to us? They may have initiated their wellness home with a waterfall, but it doesn't end with the waterfall. It's an ongoing relationship. So that's the only thing that I would add to Gary's presentation is, which he may have already done, is the caveat that this is a great way to get a wellness home started. In fact, Nikken believes so too. They're going to be telling us that they've got a launch pack or a pack with respect to the water, and probably 1 or 2 with respect to the sleep. So that's going to be an emphasis, meaning how do I get somebody started in their Nikken wellness home experience? We're going to place an emphasis. So yes, that can create cash flow. A simple little business, low-hanging fruit, something that anybody can learn how to do with training wheels on. But because it's doable and duplicatable, because Niken makes it possible for you to do it in any city in this country, in that country, in other countries, we can scale. Means I can find somebody else who does it over here, and somebody else who does it over here, and somebody else who does it over here. And so scaling the business is what creates the large incomes. So it's, first of all, getting in our mind that if I can make 500, I can make 50,000 because of the scalability. And that's already in place. What makes it possible is already there. We don't have to build it. It's there. The scalability of Niken already exists because a person can literally go online, register, and be in business with Niken anywhere in North America, anytime. So the scalability is there. So that's one thing. So if we're clear about how a person can generate steady cash flow, then we've got scalability. We now have that 1-2 punch. We have the ability to create a huge going concern. Now, overlay on top of that, how do you keep that going concern going? And that's the people business. And the people business is the rhythm of the business. That's where that comes in. Social proof, social events that give a stage for various people at various stages of their development. That's the rhythm of the business. So the event, for instance, in Toronto will feature diamonds. Why? Well, that particular stage is set for that particular agenda and that particular level of expression. You can't get that many diamonds together every day or every week. So it's maybe once a year we can do that. So that's what that is for. And so every stage has its reason to be. Now, who's going to be impressed by diamonds? Pretty much anybody will be impressed by diamonds and royal diamonds because they have great stories and they know how to tell those stories really, really effectively. They've learned. So it creates the stretch that we need to raise the next group of middle management. Essentially, if you want to talk about in labor terms, we're growing the middle management, the levels that need to move to the next level but are already involved to a high degree. Now, of course, if you bring in any prospects to that event, what are they going to see? They're going to see a high-level opportunity. So who are the prospects who would be impressed with a, let's call it a executive style experience? Who would be impressed with that? People who have high-paying jobs. Yeah, Chris. People with high-paying jobs or successful businesses would be impressed by that. So it's an opportunity for you to do what I'm doing in Orlando with this guy, to recruit a high-level person. Is it for everybody? No, not everything is for everybody. But what these people are going to be taught is that there is this possibility on that scale. But how does it work? You dumb it down to the ridiculous. You'll learn how to do this circle of influence. If you can make 500, you can make 50,000. And that's why it works, and that's why it's brilliant. And it's almost hard for them to grasp. It's almost hard for somebody who's working really, really hard, working night and day, taking their work home with them, and burning it at both ends to make a living. It's hard for them to understand the simplicity of this. This is perhaps why the confusion. Because the paradigm they're in, which is why our event is shifting paradigms, the paradigm they're in is you've got to work really, really hard and really, really long hours with tremendous pressure and stress, and you got to be able to do it on your own because otherwise you're not good enough. They'll find somebody else. That's the world that most people are living in.
And it really is different today than it was 20 years ago. When we talk about this economy, it's here. That's where people are.
Yeah. So what we want to show people is, look, that's the old paradigm. That's the old world. The new world is much simpler. It's broken down to the little things because we now have computers doing a lot of the other things.
Well, that's why I like the cards that have those few on them, because again, until we get used to going through those whole 31 slides, and I know we can focus on whatever we want to, what has really happened is that you've spent more time, Ben has spent more time on those that are critical. And now having the cars, that's what I'm whipping out, which is much easier to just then connect them. And I am doing the one at a time. This new person that I'm taking through the process, she's been here every day at lunch. She was here today at the end of that call.
Terrific.
Yeah, and she, texting me now, asking questions. So it is, that's the one bite, I think. And she hasn't watched the Thursday night program with all 31 slides yet. And she's coming and bringing people on Saturdays. So that is connecting those points, Mike, with those cards is helping to make that longer presentation make more sense. I still think it's a long presentation. I'm going to keep saying that, but
I still think that it's what you make it. And as long as you understand the story, you can fill in the, I'll tell you one thing. I had a guy come to a meeting the very first time he saw me do a meeting in Toronto, came from out west, marketing guy. And he watched, I didn't do the presentation. There were other people doing a presentation. There was a beginning, a middle, and end. There was the intro, company intro, industry. Then there was a product section. Then there was a business opportunity. We split the meeting into 3, which this PowerPoint allows you to do too. But anyway, every slide had lots and lots and lots and lots of words on it, written in sentences. He said to me, you got to get rid of these slides. I mean, they're just like, they're supposed to be bullet points. They're supposed to be 22 points that people can read from the back of the room and all that and whatever. And I said to this guy, well, Marty, anybody can read. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, you're trying to make it so that people can do the presentation. Yeah. Everybody can learn how to read or can read. So the point was, it wasn't about having the best PowerPoint presentation. It was about, can somebody do that presentation? Because if I can get one person to do it, I can get 100 people to do it. And so that's the key to duplication is, yes, sometimes it's a bit of a burden when you look at it from the perspective you're looking at it from. But when you take it to the next level, which is duplication.
We're getting there because now we're getting the people into the pipeline to do that, Mike.
Perfect.
So, we were just too slow.
So this point, though, being scalability, the idea of the business being scalable is you take that simple concept of the business unit of 5 wellness homes and 3 partners. That's it. So if you look at the launch strategy, launch strategy.
That's my question. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so this launch strategy, if you look at that one triangle has 5 circles attached to it. Those are the 5 wellness home customers, and it has 3 partners. Those are the 3 partners. But notice there are 9 people being sponsored that become 3 partners. This is the strategy. The strategy is we don't sponsor 3 people. We sponsor as many people as it takes until we find 3 people who are willing to do the same, which is do their launch. See, that's the key.
That point is critical.
Absolutely. And our numbers tell us, our history tells us that it's about 1/3. So I know I've got to have 9 people that I sponsor. And if I want to be really specific, I would say 9 people who become executive guarantees me 3 silvers. So my numbers, which are pretty much everybody else's numbers because I've done this homework, is it skips a rank. The rule of thirds. So for every 3 executives, 1 goes silver. For every 3 silvers, 1 goes platinum. For every 3 platinum, 1 goes royal diamond. You could write a book on that. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. So
if you really take them through that process and they understand what being a partner is, and not just that they bought their own things and they're going to casually bump into somebody or whatever, they really need to understand the top part of that Z of what it takes to launch.
Yes. So that last conversation, what it takes, the what conversation is a conversation that has to happen if you want to move them from being just somebody who signed up to somebody who really puts the roller skates on. So, but I don't have an issue. I don't have a problem with you signing up 10 people and then having that conversation with those 10. In fact, that would be perfect. Sign up 10 new people this month, and then let's have a get together and we'll have that conversation. Oh, by the way, we call that a lock-in event. So you see what I mean? There's a reasoning behind this. There's a formula. It works if you work it. So you don't have to get too intense with somebody. You've got to get them in the door. Once they're in the door and they want to start kicking the tires, the self-discovery process kicks in and they start to explore. But you have to have an answer to the question, what does it take? What do I got to do? And
that last example, if I could just interrupt while I'm remembering it, that's what I saw with one of the Latinos when she was, I don't remember who it was, at the last meeting, saying how many people she had bringing to her house and then she couldn't fit them in her house. You do sign up 10 and they come to your house. Then there's the competition when they're looking around and saying, oh, we're all going to, who's going to do it and who isn't going to do it? Because, and we haven't gotten to that either. None of us have signed up the 10 to get them all together at once for that kind of excitement to happen. And that
Where does the excitement begin, Madeline? Let's get to the point that I wanted to make tonight.
Okay.
Where does the excitement to have this influx of people begin? You gotta, Bob Proctor used to say, you gotta want the sweater. You gotta want the sweater.
Or you gotta be hungry.
You gotta be hungry. And it's true. The world has changed a lot, but there are people out there that are really, really hungry and are the innovators and are doing things. And they're waiting for an opportunity like this to show up. And we cannot be shy about it. We need to be bold about the fact that we have it. I mean, these products are more relevant today than ever before. That's the first sign that there's something here. Most companies,
bold and bodacious.
Bold and bodacious. Most companies have to reinvent themselves because they have a product that's passé. The one thing about Nikken is we don't have that. I mean, you could start a company with Nikken's products. If another company tomorrow opened up and it had Nikken's products, that company would explode. So it's not the products. We have them. That's one of the formulations, one of the ingredients. We got it. I've looked at this compensation plan a million different ways. That's why we turned it sideways and reoriented it, because it needed to be done that way for it to be better understood. And I'm convinced there isn't a simpler plan out there. What is the key to scalability? What made Uber Uber? They made it simple for somebody to become an Uber driver. They made it simple for somebody to make money. They didn't make it complicated. They made it really simple. That's why they were able to have hundreds of them, thousands of them in a city like that. Scalability. So the comp plan is simple enough now that it's scalable. It's super scalable. We've even reduced the number of positions there are. I've seen comp plans where the positions, the names are just like, I don't know how they would fit any of those things on a pin, never mind. Like they have 50 million different ranks. It's like, honest to God, there's only so many ways you can skin a cat, and there's only so many ways you can carve up a dollar. I'm sorry, but the more numbers you put to it, the more ways you put to it, just complicates things. So Nikken's really done the opposite. They said, let's simplify this thing and make it business sense, not egocentric, where it's all about my pin. So it's simple, and that's elegant, and that's always the best. And so we've got the comp plan working for us. I know there's questions out there about CVPV. I've looked at other companies' comp plans, and I've looked at their product mixes and their launch packs and so forth. And trust me when I tell you, everyone has a PVCV. Everyone. They call it BV, they call it PV, they call it different names, but there's always a relationship between the wholesale and the actual commissionable volume. And the number, the percentage-wise, we're right in there. It's not a mystery. Okay, so comp plan, possibility, that's there. So we have the product, we have the comp plan. What about the timing? How many of you found nobody knows we're here? I mean, it's a completely different experience when you're out there and everybody knows who you are and everybody already knows what these products are and they've already bought them and so forth. That's a completely different animal than yeah, you've been here a long time, but how come I haven't heard of you? So we have virgin market, but we have the advantage of a company that has the legacy, the understanding. And so we got steep tradition. There was a book called Lexus and the Olive Tree, written by one of these superstars from MIT University Business School. Anyway, Lexus and the Olive Tree. We got the olive tree, which is deep roots, solid, and we got the Lexus, which is really nice and shiny and new and clean and operational. And I mean, we've got that. The Lexus and the Olive Tree going. So what is missing here? What is missing here? I can tell you the only thing that I know is missing here in my analysis as an aerospace engineer, as a network marketer for 26 years, you gotta be hungry. The only thing that's missing here is hunger, because that's what overcomes the inertia of shyness. That's what overcomes the inertia of political correctness. That's what overcomes the inertia of timidness, and that's what overcomes the inertia of the past. You got to be hungry. So I'm like, how do I make people hungry? I don't exactly know how to make people hungry, except to remind them of who they are and that they're living their potential. That we all deserve more. I don't care how much you got, you deserve more. One of the topics on our event is why you should make more money than you need. That's one of the topics of our event in October. Why you should make more money than you need. I think it's a good topic, because otherwise you get really complacent, you get really comfortable, and you get really self-centered, small. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm getting by, and it's, you're comfortable. Comfortable? Whoa, you're on your way out if you're comfortable. Bob Proctor said there's only two things. You're either going up or you're coming down. There's no in between. So if you're comfortable, guess which direction you're going. So I'm saying, hey, no way. We don't have time for that. Comfort? There's a whole generation of people don't know we exist. And there's a generation we sort of missed getting to. There's a lot of them that we never ever got to. So how do we get hungry about this? How do we get so wickedly hungry about this that we go way out of our way to make sure that a day doesn't go by that we haven't introduced 2, 3, 5 people to this? Whatever happens, that doesn't matter. Whatever happens, if you don't get so tied into the results, like you're so committed to, oh my God, what if they don't like me? And what if they don't like this? Who cares? There's 7 billion people on the planet. How many do you need to like you? Yeah, 3. That's it. That's all it takes you. So, and you got 3 on this photo already, so it doesn't matter. Let's go find some people. And that's really what I think needs to happen. I think what needs to happen is we got to get really, really dead serious about making Nikken something important, not only in our lives, but in life, period. I just can't imagine, my kids are going to be talking at this event. I don't know if I mentioned this. I don't think I did. So I was at lunch with my daughter, Sophia, and so I said, I'm going to have you speak at the event in October. And she says, yeah, I know. I said, so the subject is going to be Nikken, the Nikken effect. And she says, no, you know what it should be? It should be the Nikken lifestyle effect, which I, by the way, today changed on the website. I said, what do you mean? She says, well, I'm going to talk about how the Nikken lifestyle has affected me, how I could never settle for a job. And so she started explaining how Nikken has conditioned her mind because of the life I've given her and the life that I've lived as a Nikken consultant, which was totally different than what I expected she was going to be talking about. So there you have it. What's the generational effect? How many people are not going to get the benefit of this if we don't get to work, if we don't get real hungry about this, real passionate about this message? Like, this is important stuff. This is not mildly important. Yes,
that's an excellent connection to the medical component of our children getting sicker, to be able to have a young adult see the impact that I don't want a regular job, because the attitude of a lot of kids is they've had too much handed to them on a silver platter. and they want to go to work and make a lot and not do much. And so having her say that, that's really a wonderful focus that ties nicely into that we're not just talking about physical health, but financial health. Even the timing of when you have her do that, you know, should be tied into the physical health because of putting those.
It is. It's in the Friday section, so it will be. So, and so this call that I was on yesterday with this fellow, he said, you know, he's a marketing guy, okay? He's a marketing guy. He gets paid pretty good salary for what he does, and he's done this internationally, and he travels between 2 cities, and he's like, you know, I'm not really a salesperson. I said, you are so. You're a marketing person. That's all you do. Except you're thinking of sales like peddling product. You sell concepts. That's what I sell. So we all sell. The question is, what are you selling? And then I went into the McDonald's analogy. I said, well, if I asked you and I said, I already know you know the answer to this question, so I'm going to ask you anyway. What business is McDonald's in? He says, real estate. I said, see, I told you, I knew you knew the answer because you're marketing. But if you look at Nikan and you're looking at Nikan like the hamburger stand, then you're missing the boat. You're missing the big picture. And so that's why you say, I'm not into sales. Yes, you are into sales. You just want to find something that you can sell that makes sense to you to sell. Now, let me tell you the Nikan story and what I sell and what I focus on. And then I just went from the lower picture to the bigger picture. And the bigger picture was because this change needs to happen. Right now, there's $3.2 trillion a year betting on us getting sick. And I want to turn that upside down. And we have evidence that we're right. The Japanese are the evidence. So who's going to help me? If they can make $3.2 trillion getting people sick, I think we can make more getting them healthy. What do you think? So let's get to work. Let's find some people who think like us and let's show them how. Yeah, we got a hamburger stand. Yeah, we got franchising. That's not the big picture. The big picture is we're going to change the way people think about health and wealth. And we're going to provide them with the means. So that's the conversation I have with people who want to think a little bit bigger and think beyond sales. So if somebody says to you, oh, you know, I'm not into sales. Yes, you are. Do you have a job? Well, you've convinced somebody that you're worth hiring. You've convinced them every day that you're worth keeping. So if you ain't selling, what are you doing? You're selling something. What are you selling? Are they giving you money? What are they giving you money for? Your time. You're selling your time. And did you get to decide how much it was worth? No. So don't tell me you're not into sales. This is the level of boldness I'm talking about. This is the level of honesty that I'm talking about. We've got to get to a level where we can have that kind of a conversation. Otherwise, we're just, playing. We're not really communicating. And that's when things can start to happen. People will take you more seriously. They'll look at this more carefully, and they won't be dismissive of it at all. They'll start to look at it, and you won't be so timid about it. Your energy, the output of your energy, which controls the law of attraction, what you're attracting, your energy won't be so timid. Your energy will be much more direct, much more bold, much more matter of fact. And by the way, it'll help you sift through people faster. Because if they're not reacting in a way that gets you excited, gets them excited, then maybe it's not for them right now. Next conversation. So I think what we really need to do as a unit, as a team that's aligned with success, is let's make a point this month. Let's make a real point, an honest effort this month to find somebody who could be the somebody that could take Nikan into the future. We all have that responsibility to find that person. The other thing this guy said that caught my attention. He said, he was talking about, again, the way he was wired, he was talking about finding people to sell. Like, I won't be doing that, but they will be excluding himself like he's at the top of the pyramid and he gets to, run everybody's life kind of thing. I said, no, you got this all wrong. That's not how this works. People don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to join your team. They want to join you. So give them a reason to be with you. Talk about we. What are we doing? What can we do together that we can't do alone? Create that experience in your conversations. Create that experience in the future reality that you're building. It's about us working together to create something. You're not working for me. You're working towards something. What is that thing? It's that paradigm shift. It's the idea that we can, in fact, take a big chunk of that $3.2 trillion and start putting it to use in a proper way. So when you hear somebody say something that kind of makes them think like they're at the top of a pyramid, or they're defining this as something like that, and they're just telling people, they're just commanding people to go out and do stuff because that's how they're trying to think of it, as like I'm some important executive, I work for Coca-Cola, or I work for this, or I work for that, and that's what I do in my job. Try to get them to understand that paradigm don't hunt. This is about what we can do as a group of people committed to something, working together, collaborating together to create an outcome that's worth our time and energy and will pay us for years and years and years to come. So it's help them to shift. Yes, Lori.
People will follow someone who is a servant before they follow someone who's a dictator. They will be more likely to follow and to do if you're out in the front doing and asking them to come with you.
Yeah.
Rather than telling them this is what we're doing.
Yeah, it's help. We need the help because the project is big. We need the best of the best and the biggest of the biggest. And that's how we need to approach this. If you're stuck on any condition, network marketing, if you're stuck on any aspect of Niken, solve that problem. You have to solve that problem because you're holding yourself and everybody else back. Whatever it is that you're stuck on, whatever's got you thinking twice, the compensation plan, the this, that, whatever it is, talk to somebody. Get to the root of what it is, because it's a prejudice, it's a paradigm, and it's holding you back. Yes, Suzanne.
So some of us have been around for a long time, and we've experienced a lot of changes and ups and downs over the tenure. And so you brought a reminder with Bob and his sweater. Of course, I remember that cassette tape. But I remember also having fun and doing something that we knew everyone was doing. And I remember when we were doing demonstrations with the insoles, not to sell insoles, but to talk about a concept, and everyone was doing these demonstrations. Imagine if the whole healthcare could change with this company that started with this one product, and we're a global company. So it was fun, and we were doing these on a regular basis. I remember being on a plane and needing to talk to the attendants because I needed 2 more people before my day was out, because I needed to do 5 a day. So there was an accountability thing, but it was fun, and it caused us to get out of that comfy space.
You were connected to the bigger picture. You were connected to the bigger. You knew that you had a role to play in the bigger picture.
Yes. And today, the law of attraction, I feel like I want to share this law of attraction experience I had. I went on a walk, and as I was walking, the first thing I said to myself is, I am going to see some turkeys. I live in the country. I went around the corner, and there, crossing the street, were 2 turkeys crossing the street. I said, okay, I got it. The next thing I'm going to see is a cardinal. And wouldn't you know, I get down to the bottom of the hill and I hear a cardinal. I look over in the tree and there's a cardinal in the tree. I said, okay, so I've asked for two things that are kind of usual and normal. I get down to I said, okay, I'm going to get to the bottom of the hill. There's a stream. And I usually look at the stream. I said, I want to see a fish jump in the stream. So I get down to the bottom. There's a person who needs my directions. So I help her. I come back to the stream. I look, I see a turtle swimming around on one side. And I look at the other side. And wouldn't you know, what do I see? A fish jump out of the stream. I said, okay, I got it. I got 3 for 3, within 15 minutes. And so it's about building that, and we've talked about this before. What is it that you want and attract it? So
it's like a muscle. It's like a muscle. If you need to do what Suzanne is doing to convince yourself that this law is a law as legitimate and as real as the law of gravity, do it. Start small and then just experience it. And then we can switch gears and get into the reality of building big. But the law is exact, and it simply is a mirror to what it is that you are expecting. If you're expecting to fail, you will fail. It's just simply the way it is, because that's the energy you're submitting to the universe to mirror. So failure presents itself. It's the other way around. If you're expecting to succeed, and the thing that the tie to the cause is why you can expect to succeed, because it's no longer about you and your shortcomings. The cause is a bigger thing than you. It takes you out of the way and says, this is important. We need to do this for the things that it is. The greatest things that have ever been done, some of the great stories of military heroes and so forth, these incredible acts of courage, they'll tell you, the situation was the situation, and that was the only thing I could do. They didn't think about being courageous. They just did what they had to do, which was they faced the fear, they faced the challenge, and by doing that, we call that courage. So what I'm talking about is connecting to something that removes the little part of you, the little you, out of the equation. The part of you that says, oh, I'm not this, and I'm so small, and I'm not good at that, and I'm my past, and my this, and all those things that it's talking to you about, saying this is who you are, it takes you out of the equation and opens you up to how you can fulfill a purpose, how you can be a conduit through which this purpose can be realized. Because the same God is purposeful and is operating in everyone and everything all at the same time. So what you are seeking is seeking you. That's the connection. So get to the big picture. It removes the little picture out of the way. And now you're going to have a conversation with somebody, because it's about what can be achieved if you and that somebody could get on the same page. Yes, Maggie.
I think, you've been talking, and what I believe is so important in your teaching is asking someone, say, I need your help. That takes the little you out of the picture. That opens the door for us to present the big picture. And it's not about selling products, which if you look at somebody, you think, oh, I can help them, which is honorable, but it's not going to build this business. So I really encourage people to go back and go over Michael's contact and invite scripts. And when you're building your team, you want to focus on who can help you and say to them, I need your help. And the reason I'm asking you is because, give them your reasons for why you believe that they are, somebody that could be a good support, and also why you would like to work with them.
Excellent advice. The contact and invite scripts, it's been tested. It is what it is. It works. Here's what I want to leave you with. Here's how we can work together on this. Here's how we can get that Suzanne comment, bring that out there, okay? Start to make it happen. Start to get in the groove of this. Here's what I want you to repeat over and over and over again. Write it down, repeat it over and over again. Write it down, repeat it. Our CEO used it in his talk in San Mateo. Every home a wellness home. every home a wellness home. Why? Because every home needs to be a wellness home. Every home a wellness home. Why do I do it? Every home a wellness home. Why do I need help? Every home a wellness home. Every home a wellness home. That's the battle cry. That's the thing that makes it work. Every home a wellness home. Every home a wellness home. Okay, guys.
Good
I'm
call.
excited.
Yeah, good call. So
Thank you.
know that you're busy, but you'll get this one out.
Will do. You bet. I'll get it out tonight. Thank you.
Great call.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.